Today, I will recount to you the stunning story of the Inman family. The Inman family introduced a picture of faultless congruity to the rest of the world. They were normal participants at chapel. Each Sunday, anyway, inside their very close gathering, none could understand the real factors that unfurled. In the security of their regarded home, back in 1983, William and Sandra, in man's ways, crossed in a congregation setting him being 18 and she at 16. Their association was honored by their folks, prompting their marriage. The couple made their home in the unassuming local area of Logan, in Selling Region, Ohio. Bill Inman, a man major areas of strength for of conviction, shuffled his work in development with playing instruments for the Sky of Confidence Outreaching Church, nearby Nelsonville, Ohio. Sandra assumed the job of dealing with their home the next year in 1984. They were glad to invite their child, William Jar, to recognize the two. The top of the family was alluded to as Bill, while the youthful one was referred to as Will as time. Past William Jar developed at 17 years old in 2001. He experienced a 15-year-old named Summer Cook at chapel, a gathering suggestive of his folks' own will, and Summer kept a companionship for quite some time, prompting their marriage. When Summer turned 18, out of 2004, the recently hitched couple started their coexistence, dwelling with Will's folks in a liberally estimated home in Logan, Ohio. In 2004, when he was 39, Bill Inman imagined himself as an otherworldly aide. He changed his carport into a shoddy safe haven, beginning to hold social occasions there, regardless of nearby wariness. Towards this self-announced priest's activities, his confounding carport on their property started to draw first neighbors, then their companions, and more participants looked for comfort, participated in supplication, and left contributions. The next year, in 2005, Will and Summer were excited with the appearance of their child, Alex. Close to this time, the Inman family confronted monetary strain, as Bill's strict undertakings were not monetarily compensating. The family set out to move to one more state. In quest for business opened doors. By 2006, the Inmans had completely resettled in Florida. There, both Bill and Will quickly got work in development. In the meantime, Sand and Summer gave themselves to homemaking and supporting youthful Alex. 2 years after the fact, the Inman family advanced back to Ohio from Florida. By then, they had relinquished their Logan home because of a powerlessness to recover it, getting comfortable a rental in Vinton's Field. The family began another part not long after their movement. In 28, Will and Summer invited their second kid, a little girl named Kelly. By 2010, their family developed with the appearance of another little girl, Elena. Will and Summer, as youthful guardians, frequently looked for ends of the week away for unwinding and restoration. Bill and Sandra, ever steady, assumed the job of really focusing on their grandkids during these times. The ends of the week were overflowing with happiness as they treasured minutes with their 3 grandkids. In the spring of 2010, Bill Inman got a minister's permit and declared himself the top of the Skinnia Confidence Church alongside his better half. He laid out a beneficent substance named Farm of Kindness to help the jobless and destitute. His vision was to develop a huge dwelling for vagrants and widows. However, monetary assets were missing to address this. Bill considered a lottery conspire. Every member would buy a ticket with the returns reserved for building the sanctuary. The fantastic award was either a house or $200,000, in addition to 99 other critical prizes. The local area became mindful of this lottery through news and commercials. Bill at first advanced it house-to-house, guaranteeing a pamper compensation with the excess assets bound for a sanctuary. At the desperate cost, it at 10 ticket, he sold 100,000 tickets, gathering $1 million for the task. The drawing was set for September 2010. In June 2010, an individual commotion struck the Inman family when Summer communicated her craving to separation. Will her better half of 6 years. This statement came not long after she had written a huge section in her own journal. I'm so burnt out on satisfying everybody. I'm extremely tired. Don't I merit bliss? Don't I have the right to cherish somebody once more and feel cherished and kind? I couldn't say whether this present time is the perfect open door. Yet I need to tell Will all that I feel horrible. I think he has the right to know reality. He ought to realize that I would rather not be with him any longer. I need to be separated from everyone else to get myself and comprehend who I'm on the right track. Currently, I'm simply a slave going around and following their orders. I love my youngsters with my entire existence. I wouldn't exchange them for anything. I don't believe that they should grow up and see their moment. Simply following requests. I don't have the foggiest idea how Mike will respond to this. Perhaps he'll fly off the handle, attempt to take the youngsters and run, or perhaps he'll begin undermining me, hurt me, or more terrible. I figure the kids ought to see us both. Similarly, I realize Will's folks will betray me and attempt to make me stay. Yet I realize that won't change anything. The previous evening will ask me what I need, and I don't have the foggiest idea about. At the end of the day, it's obvious that what I don't need, I would rather not be miserable and feel caught, yet I was unable to let him know that. So I just stayed there peacefully. Each day, all I believe that should do is cry and rest, nothing more. I simply don't have the foggiest idea how to escape what is happening and make everything all right. Ideally, when I make my next section, I'll comprehend how to tackle all that. Mid-year continued with the separation and left from the Inman home, taking her child, the two girls, and her belongings. They found asylum at the home of Summers folks. Wishing not to cut off the connection between the kids and their dad, she allowed visits with their father too. As their grandparents, 2 months post-partition, in August 2010, Summer started a relationship with a man named Adam Peters. Simultaneously, she got work at a bank in Logan's Midtown region, expecting a cleaning job because of her restricted instructive foundation. September moved in, denoting the booked time for the Farm of Leniency's home pool. Speed decapitated by the Inman family anyway. Development on the award house had not initiated. Both September and October passed with next to no turn of events, and the wager was never directed with clarifications gave. The association showed no earnestness in discounting the members. On December 1st, 2010, the Inmans were advised of the need to abandon their leased occupants because of significant neglected lease. Accordingly, Summer, joined by Adam, went to recover her leftover belongings from the Inman home anyway. Her entrance alongside Adam's was denied. This drove Summer to caution the police, asserting that her alienated spouse was threatening her and impeding the recovery of her possession. On police appearance, Will and his folks continued denying access. Will raised the circumstance by undermining Adam and conflicting with a cop. Summer continued to document a legitimate grievance against Will. She considered their relationship, taking note of its idyllic nature preceding marriage, however deploring an unmistakable change post-marriage. Will's way of behaving purportedly became tyrannical, applying command over perspectives, going from her eating regimen and family obligations to suggest matters she was not allowed to rest without his endorsement and was bound to. Their home denied of admittance to her telephone and keys. Summer uncovered Will's longing for a huge family, his advantage in polygamy, and his web-based exercises on related sites, including posting improper pictures. She likewise revealed his messages of mischief in the event that she sought after separate, and referenced the strange vanishing of her felines, which he casually credited to them getting away from through an open window, a case he made with evident entertainment. Following Summers' charges, Will introduced his side of the story. He legitimized seizing Summers' telephone and keys, recommending his doubt of her disloyalty. In regards to the felines, he made sense of that their wild way of behaving and harm for furniture and relatives drove him to migrate them to a haven. Thusly, Will was exposed to a controlling request preceding him from moving towards Summer and had to deal with damages and probation. In the midst of this, a savage fight for guardianship unfurled between the families. The Inmans stopped a police report against Adam Peters, depicting him as an expected danger to the well-being of Alex, Kelly, and Elena. Unfortunately, Summer's life was before long eclipsed by a critical occasion. The evening of spring 22 in 2011, 25-year-old Summer Inman was finishing up her day of work At the bank, she completed her cleaning obligations after the workplace shut and ventured outside to discard the junk around 11:00 p.m. She had messaged Adam, her accomplice, to get together post-work, yet he never experienced her by 11:30 p.m. Stressed Adam showed up at the bank. His hunt drove him to a back street close to the dumpster where he found Summer's own things dissipated on the ground, her telephone keys, and an as-yet playing music player with earphones close by. In the grass, he found her coat. Adam expeditiously reached Summers, folks educating them regarding what is happening, and Summer's non-appearance. He focused on the criticalness of reaching the police. At first, the Guardians contacted the bank, guessing that mid-year could have remained for additional time work, and lost her possessions anyway. The security staff knew nothing about her whereabouts. Hence, they made the Logan police aware of reports Summer missing, emphasizing her ordinarily reliable nature and uncommon late stays at work. That police showed up at the scene where Summer's effects were found, and they were met with accounts from 3 onlookers who had noticed her snatching from that area simply an hour prior to 2 ladies who were out running at night. Detailed seeing Summer as she went to discard the rubbish. At that point, a white Passage Crown Victoria worked by a blonde lady pulled up from the vehicle. 2 people clad in dark balaclavas and arose. They strongly got Summer and driven her into the vehicle's secondary lounge. In spite of her obstruction and shouts for assist, a spectator's endeavor with mediating was ruined when the blonde driver debilitated him with pepper shower, compelling him to withdraw. The vehicle quickly left the region. The 2 running observers speedily made a beeline for that closest police headquarters to report the occurrence anyway. Their record was at first met with suspicion by the police, who found their account unconventional and questioned its legitimacy, suspect expecting it very well, maybe a created story. The police arrived at the snatching site of Summer Inman only an hour following the report for someone who has gone missing, documented by her folks anyway. Their underlying endeavors didn't prompt finding the missing 25-year-old. The insight about Summer Inman's seizing quickly flowed through all nearby news sources, catching that local area's consideration. A flood of Logan's home numbering in the hundreds joined in a coordinated work to find her as 3 days slipped by. The chance of finding Summer completely safe became progressively weak. All through this nerve-wracking time, her folks tried to keep up with trust against miserable contemplations. Presently before her vanishing Summer, Inman shared a photograph on Facebook, highlighting herself, her new accomplice Adam, and her youngsters. The picture depicted them as a substance nuclear family. Will Inman, who approached Adam Peter's Facebook page, shockingly still on his companions list, notwithstanding being Summer's flow accomplice, saw this update. It brings up a charming issue. How could a spouse get to know his better half's new friend? The origin story uncovered that Adam, a man without stable work, had been recruited by the Inmans a year sooner, in spring 2010, for different family undertakings. It was then that Adam and Summer ran into each other and fostered a bond regardless of starting hesitance. Summer ultimately responded. Adam's expressions of warmth, her journal section mirrors this struggle under the surface. When I investigated his eyes, I understood that Satan had assumed control over me. I didn't pay attention to everything God was saying to me. I attempted to stop my psyche, shouted, "Run, leave now." However, rather I remained and let him embrace me, and afterward, dig further. I am extremely heartbroken about this. I'm blameworthy. This experience connoted the disentangling of Summer's life inside the Inman family. Longing for bliss and love, she started separate from procedures which were drawn out 5 days prior to evaporating. Will challenged, tried that proposed spousal help per kid month to month, recommending a decrease to $50 given his yearly profit of just $6,000. Will and his folks looked for full guardianship of the youngsters, yet their request was dismissed by the court in the wake of losing contact with their grandkids. Bill and Sandra noticeably disintegrated, getting more fit and obviously impacted, as the people who realized them agreed that the grandkids were the illumination of their lives. In Walk 2011, and in the midst of the examination concerning Summer's vanishing, the Inman family was found. They were found at the home of Bill's kid mother in Jackson Province, Ohio. Bill, Sandra, and will all in all stated their obliviousness in regards to Summers snatching the Inmans related that the evening of Summers' grabbing, they were in transit to Cleveland to see another property anyway they experienced vehicle inconvenience. Following 3 hours out and about prompting a short-term trial of vehicular fixes on the side of the road prior to getting back to Low Logan, the following morning they kept up with that their associations with Summer were for the most part agreeable with rare questions, yet they credited a change in their familial congruity to Adam Peters' work in their family depicting this stage as trying the threesome reliably depicted Adam as an adverse impact, charging he was the impetus for the breaking down of their beforehand agreeable, loyal, and closely knit family. The examination took a urgent turn when the police saw a white Portage Crown Victoria at the Inman family's home. Upon review of the vehicle, a GPS recipient was seized. Ensuing assessment uncovered that on spring 22, then the day Summer was snatched, this vehicle was in Logan. The GPS was deactivated at 5:30 p.m. that night and reactivated the following morning again in Logan, going against the Inman's case of venturing out to Cleveland. Telephone records additionally confirmed that every one of the 3 relatives were in Logan on both Walk 22 NAND and 23 extra requests. Uncovered that on the morning of spring 23 around 7:30 a.m. the Inmans were at a vehicle wash participating in an exhaustive inside cleaning of the vehicle. Bill, Sandra, and Will were all present. However, Summer was prominently missing. Following the vehicle wash, they visited an auto shop in Cleveland for a tire change. A shop representative noticed the characteristic of Bill picking to supplant almost new tires, with involved ones supporting his decision as a simple abhorrence for his ongoing TIR. There was likewise proof that the Inmans endeavored to change the vehicle's appearance. Quite Bill had taken out a police spotlight recently mounted on the driver's side entryway, close to the side mirror. Bill, Sandra, and Will Inman were secured and gotten for cross-examination. Before their capture, Bill guaranteed his older mother of their blamelessness, crediting what is happening to a test from Satan, all through the scrutinizing the triplet reliably declared their ignorance of Summer Inman's snatching and the character of her hijacker anyway. Following a few hours and confronted with the chance of the death penalty whenever indicted, Sandra Inman's purpose vacillated. She ultimately yielded and uncovered reality. Sandra admitted that they were liable for Summer's kidnapping the evening of spring 22. With Bill and Will camouflaged in dark veils, she conceded that the underlying arrangement, which she coordinated, was just to snatch and scare Summer anyway. She recognized that occasions had taken a surprising and unfortunate go, as per Sandra's admission, when Summer was effectively positioned in the vehicle's secondary lounge. Will limited her with plastic ties around her neck, hands, and feet, proposing to terrify her into conceding him admittance to their youngsters. As the circumstance raised, Will understood that late spring was near the precarious edge of obviousness. In a frenzy to deliver her, he frantically looked for a blade, yelling to his mom, "Good gracious mother, where's the blade? I can't find it." In the midst of their aggregate trepidation and unhinged look for the blade, the critical circumstance demolished. Summer stopped breathing and unfortunately died. Sandra kept up with that their goal was never to end Summer's life. They simply looked for a goal to their guardianship debate and would have liked to guarantee normal encounters with their grandkids. On spring 29, 2011, 7 days after the hijacking, Sandra Inman uncovered the disguised area of the body. Summer's remaining parts were shrouded in a well inside a septic tank on the grounds of Skinnea Confidence Church, close to Nelsonville, about 30 km from her work environment. Bill Inman had been engaged with the congregation's development, which held individual importance as the scene where he and Sandra had married 28 years sooner. The Inmans had been customary participants at this congregation, with Bill partaking in the melodic group. The police revealed the well by eliminating a substantial section and unscrewing 6 fasteners from the metal top. After opening it, they promptly experienced Summer legs. She had been projected directly into the septic tank, still clad in her work clothing. Her dark shirt bore the unexpected engraving, "I don't have outrage issues. I dislike nitwits. The criminological assessment affirmed that late spring had capitulate to strangulation, separated from the obvious imprints on her neck, hands, and legs. Characteristic of being limited, no different wounds were found on her body, highlighting the particular reason for her lamentable death. Sandra revealed that her underlying arrangement was to discard the body in a waterway. However, she later re-examined, considering it more secure to cover it in the well close to the congregation, trusting it to be where it would most likely stay unseen. She owned up to feeling significant disgrace for her activities and the irreversible outcomes they prompted during the resulting preliminary 49-year-old Bill Inman and 28-year-old Will Inman recognized no liability regarding Summer's passing. All through the procedures they remained, to a great extent, quiet, showing no noticeable feelings and shunning visually connecting with Summer's lamenting guardians. Conversely, 47-year-old Sandra Inman was the sole relative who recognized her job in the sad occasions. She kept on declaring that the plan to scare Summer was her own doing. In a piercing second before the condemning Sandra, overpowered with tears, confronted Summer's folks and argued for their pardoning. Her discourse, however, tangled by her profound state and tears, conveyed an unmistakable feeling of disappointment. Sandra communicated that she saw Summer as a girl and bemoaned that if given the opportunity, she could unequivocally switch her horrendous choice. In 2012, the decision was conveyed, and every one of the three individuals from the Inman family were sentenced. Bill and Will Inman were condemned to life detainment without the chance of parole. Sandra Inman got a lifelong incarceration with qualification for parole subsequent to serving 15 years anyway. Among their dear companions and individual church individuals who knew all about the family's man-centric elements, there was wariness seeing Sandra's job as the brains behind the wrongdoing. It was broadly recognized that Bill stood firm on the predominant foothold in the family, ordinarily having the last word in any matter. Will then again was seen as a spoiled youngster whose each wish was taken special care of by his folks. Those near the family hypothesized that Sandra's admission and acknowledgement of fault were vital endeavors to diminish the expected legitimate ramifications for her better half and child. Alex, Kelly, and Elena are as yet being raised by the group of the departed Summer. For quite a while, they couldn't make sense of to the grandkids where their mom, father, grandma, and granddad had gone.